I'm so proud of it. When you go to a classical concert, you look in the program, who's coming, who's playing, which symphony. In my case, they don't know, and I don't tell them. They only know when you go to André and his orchestra, you will have an evening you will never forget. And that is why we travel the world. I want to touch the hearts of the people.
André Rieu, the man who democratized classical music against all odds, has sold over 40 million CDs and DVDs worldwide. At 76, this Dutch violinist has transformed Johann Strauss waltzes into stadium spectacles, filling arenas with 10,000 dancing fans who never thought classical music was for them. He commands the largest private orchestra on earth. He plays a 1730 Stradivarius violin worth millions. He has made grandmothers and teenagers alike fall in love with music written 100 years ago. But this is not a story of easy triumph. This is tragic. This is heartbreaking. Because André Rieu didn't just fight for success. He fought his own father. He was rejected by the classical establishment that raised him. He was called a traitor, a sellout, a destroyer of everything sacred about music. Critics didn't just dismiss him, they despised him. He built an empire while being told he was killing art itself. His father told him he'd never be great. The music world told him he was a disgrace. And for years, André Rieu wondered if they were right. But behind the smiling maestro, conducting joyful waltzes, lies a story not glamorous, but brutal, a story of choosing between acceptance and purpose, between the approval of experts and the love of millions. If André Rieu has ever made you believe that classical music belongs to everyone, hit like as tribute to his courage to stand alone. This is the story of a man who was condemned by the gatekeepers and who kept conducting anyway, until the whole world danced. October 1st, 1949, Maastricht, Netherlands. The birth of André Leon Marie Nicolas Rieu was marked not by celebration, but by destiny. His father, André Rieu Sr., conducted the Maastricht Symphony Orchestra, a traditionalist, a purist, a man who believed classical music was sacred, untouchable, meant only for those educated enough to appreciate it. The Rieu household had 6 children. Music filled every room, but it wasn't joyful music. It was serious, disciplined. Bach played with mathematical precision. Beethoven performed with reverence, never pleasure. The beginning was not glamorous, but suffocating. At age 5, André was handed a violin, not because he wanted one, because the son of a conductor had no choice. He practiced, hours every day in a small room while other children played outside. His fingers bled, his back ached, but his father demanded perfection. You play the notes correctly. His father told him when André was 8, but you will never be a great violinist. The words landed like stones, not delivered with cruelty, but with the cold honesty of a man who valued truth over comfort. André Rieu Sr. saw technical competence in his son, but no fire, no soul. André Acute didn't quit. He couldn't. The violin was already who he was. He studied at the Conservatoire Royal in Liege, Belgium, then the Music Academy Maastricht. By his 20s, he was performing in orchestras across Europe, technically flawless, emotionally hollow. He was living his father's dream and dying inside. 1978. André Acute Rieu, 29, made a decision that would define everything. He formed the Maastricht Salon Orchestra with 12 musicians. They didn't play in concert halls. They played in small venues, cafes, ballrooms, places where people could move, laugh, feel. They played Johann Strauss waltzes, but not the way conservatories taught them. They played them the way Strauss intended, as entertainment, as joy, as music for dancing. It was radical, and the classical establishment was horrified. This is not serious music, critics wrote. André Rieu is degrading the art form. He has betrayed everything his father taught him. That last one cut deepest, because it was true. André Rieu Sr. watched his son's performances with visible disappointment. The elaborate costumes, the theatrical lighting, the audiences clapping along, laughing, dancing in the aisles. You're turning Strauss into a circus. His father said. For 9 years, André played anyway. Small venues, small crowds, barely enough money to survive. His wife Marjorie, whom he'd married in 1975, worked to support them while he chased a dream no one else understood. They had two sons, Mark and Pierre, who grew up watching their father leave for performances that earned almost nothing. Then came 1987. André Rieu, 38, renamed his group the Johann Strauss Orchestra. He expanded to 50 musicians. He added dancers, elaborate staging. He made classical music visual, visceral, alive. The critics were furious, but the audiences kept growing. 1994. André Rieu, 45, released Strauss & Co. It sold 500,000 copies in the Netherlands alone. Suddenly, people who had never owned a classical album were buying André Rieu. Factory workers, nurses, teenagers, people the classical establishment had written off as unsophisticated. He started performing in Vrijthof Square in his hometown of Maastricht, transforming the historic plaza into an outdoor concert hall. 10,000 people attended. By 1995, he was filling stadiums. 1999 brought The Christmas I Love, which went platinum in multiple countries. His concerts became spectacles. Ice rinks built on stages, snow machines, castles constructed as backdrops. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars per production, but the price wasn't financial. It was personal. It is heartbreaking when success brings condemnation instead of celebration. André Rieu wasn't just criticized, he was vilified. In 2006, a leading classical music journal called him the most dangerous man in classical music. André Rieu is destroying centuries of musical tradition, a German critic wrote. He has taken the sublime works of Strauss, Mozart, and Tchaikovsky and turned them into theme park entertainment for the masses. But the most devastating rejection came from where it always had: his father. André Rieu Sr. attended his son's concerts reluctantly, sitting in the audience with visible discomfort. He saw the dancing, the spectacle, the audience singing along to music meant to be observed in reverent silence. For years, they barely spoke about the work that defined André's life. What few people know is that André suffered panic attacks before performances. He would stand backstage, about to conduct for 10,000 people, and wonder if his father was right. "Am I destroying music?" he asked Marjorie before a 2003 concert in Amsterdam. "Am I a traitor?" His wife, who had managed his career through every struggle, took his face in her hands. "You're not destroying music," she said. "You're giving it back to the people it was written for." But doubt lived in him. In 2004, André Rieu Sr. fell ill. André Rieu, 55, visited his father in the hospital. They hadn't discussed music in years, the subject too painful, too divisive. But as his father lay dying, he did something unexpected. He asked to watch footage from André's recent concert in Maastricht. André showed him video of 12,000 people, from age 8 to 88, swaying to the Blue Danube. Children experiencing Strauss for the first time. Elderly couples dancing in the aisles. A 90-year-old woman weeping with joy. His father watched in silence. Then, with tears in his eyes, he spoke. "I was wrong," he said. "This is what music should be." André Rieu Sr. died days later. The loss was devastating. But André had received the only thing he'd ever truly wanted, not his father's approval, but his understanding. By 2005, the Johann Strauss Orchestra had grown to 60 permanent musicians, the largest private orchestra in the world. André Rieu toured 100-plus concerts per year across Australia, Japan, South Africa, the United States, and Europe. His DVD releases became international bestsellers. Live in Tuscany 2007 sold over 500,000 copies worldwide. He purchased Castel Ehrenstein, a 14th-century castle in Maastricht, where he lives today. By 2015, his net worth reached an estimated $40 million. But success had a brutal cost. He spent 300 days per year away from home. His sons Mark and Pierre grew up with a father who existed mostly on phone calls and fleeting visits between tours. Both chose careers outside music. "I wanted them to love what I love," André admitted in 2016. "But I realized I'd been away too much. I'd chosen the world over them. The guilt haunted him. In 2019, at 70, his body began breaking down. Back pain from decades of conducting, exhaustion from endless travel. Doctors warned him to slow down. He couldn't. Performing was oxygen. Without it, he didn't know who he was. Then came March 2020. The pandemic shut down the world. André Rieu, 70, watched 120 scheduled concerts across 3 continents cancel in a single week. For the first time in 30 years, there was no music, no applause, no purpose. He and Marjorie stayed at Castile Ehrenstein. The silence was unbearable. I didn't recognize myself without performing, he said in 2021. I looked in the mirror and saw a stranger, but something unexpected happened. He began streaming free concerts from his castle on YouTube. Simple performances, just him and a few musicians, playing for people isolated in their homes. Millions watched. Letters poured in from around the world. An Italian nurse wrote, "After 14-hour shifts watching people die, your music reminds me why I keep fighting." An Australian grandmother, "I'm 89 and alone. Your waltzes are the only thing keeping me from giving up." André realized something profound. His music wasn't entertainment. It was medicine. It was connection in a disconnected world. It was proof that beauty still existed. The critics had said he degraded classical music, but millions of people said his music had saved them. At 76, André Rieu still tours the world. 2024 saw him return to Australia, Germany, and North America, conducting before multi-generational audiences who dance, cry, and sing along. He still plays his 1732 Stradivarius violin, valued at over $3.5 million. He lives in Maastricht with Marjorie, his wife of 50 years, who still manages every detail of his career. His sons have given him grandchildren who attend his concerts and finally understand why their grandfather was always gone. The classical establishment still dismisses him, but the 40 million people who've purchased his music don't care what critics think. André Rieu chose joy over prestige, connection over approval, the love of millions over the respect of the few, and in doing so, he proved that art doesn't belong to gatekeepers. It belongs to anyone whose heart it touches. At 76, André Rieu stands as proof that following your truth matters more than earning approval. From Maastricht to the world, from his father's disappointment to his father's final blessing, from critical condemnation to 40 million albums sold. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute below. Share a moment when André Rieu's music reminded you that beauty belongs to everyone, not just the educated, not just the elite, but everyone whose soul needs to dance.